Oh my god, another update. Feel in the mood for update, I suppose. This will be a more comprehensive one. This is the way I transport my lawn mowing equipment these days, because that car there is not street legal, bureaucratic stuff. It does work, but yeah, not allowed to be on the road. So I've built this trailer at some point. It broke down the first time I used it, and then I improved on it a little bit. I don't quite have the physical shape I used to, so that's an issue. Also, that bike is not the best quality. The bearings are not smooth, and there's a bunch of drag, and that road down there is gravel, so it's kind of bouncy. Yeah, that's that part of it. So it's a bit tiring moving that around, but not the worst thing. It does save me fuel, I suppose. And then I was wanting to ramble a bit more about these materials here. The considerations I have to think of when moving ahead with it. There is a lazy way of joining this together for an A-frame. So if you can imagine, this will be a triangle, but to avoid it sliding, what I will go for is mortise and tenon. The lazy way would be to kind of do something like this. Should have got the square involved to make this properly, but you know, this basically comes flat, and you have another beam sitting on here, and it cannot slide off. And then to keep it from sliding this way, you can just screw a couple of pieces here that keep it in place. That seems it would be easier and lazier, but not, I wouldn't be fully satisfied with it, because under some circumstances it might still slide off this way, even though it has to go uphill. Whereas if I put a mortise that goes into the wood a bit like that, I would not be cutting this angle. It will just stay flat on here, and then it's harder for it to slide. So yeah, it would then justify that little drill press there, which you might say it's too small, and you'd be right, but that's what I have. What I also have to pay attention to is the state of these ends here. As you can see, this one particularly is more split than others, and I wouldn't want a mortise to be on this, because it might split further under the forces. So I will have to pay attention that I put the mortise in these ends here that are better. Now, of course, I will not be using the whole length for the bottom piece. It will not be a... how would it translate in English? A triangle with equal sides. Equilateral, maybe? And so I will have to cut it somewhere around here, which will give me a good end without splits and cracks. Some of them are weird. This seems like it has been cut somehow. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Also, another thing, yeah, this lawnmower here, the motor works fine. The chassis is kind of starting to give up a little bit. As you can see, the wheel is not great. One of them fell off at one point, and I had to weld it back. And the grass there is overgrown, cannot be done with this type of mower. So I want to build one that can cut tall grass. They do make them, brand new, somewhat like this, but with just two wheels in the back and an exposed blade. Buying one of them new and keeping this janky one with the wobbly wheels seems like a waste of money, so I would rather buy a new lawnmower like this and use the motor for this to build that other one. To which end I have bought this square rectangular bar, which I will use to create the frame for that. I still have to buy bearings and pulleys and a belt. What else? I think that's about a few belts actually, because I don't know if I want to keep the same ratio. If I want to do a 1-to-1 with the engine. I will make the blade bigger than the one on here, which is 40 centimeters. I will make it probably 80 if I can. Might be too big though, but that will mean the tips will spin faster than this already does, so I might even have to slow it down. Anyway, I'll figure that one out. I will purchase 3 pulleys, 2 of them being the same size and 1 smaller, and then I can play around to figure out the ratio a little bit. So yeah, this is also this I suppose it's a bit more difficult to showcase this now. I thought in the beginning I was gonna use a bunch of dovetails, but the dovetail joint, because it is basically a wedge, it could cause the wood to split if used in the wrong places, especially in this application where there's a bunch of load on the structure. So yeah. Oh, I did remember another thing. I don't know if you can see it from here because the fisheye makes it difficult. Should be center. That power pole there that carries the power lines, that will help me raise these things up, because the home will be built down there. So yeah, I'll have to climb it somehow or find a tall ladder. I'll put kind of a pulley on there, something, or maybe just even use these figure 8 things to run a rope. Should be smooth enough. And yeah, I will use that to lift the ends in place. Let's see if I can draw it here somehow. So the ends will be kind of like that, if seen from the side. So that is a self-supporting structure which will be laying down like this on the ground, because this I only have to lift this end here a meter. Not that difficult. This will be almost 6 meters tall, 5.5 maybe, I don't know exactly, somewhere around there. And then I will kind of put a rope here and lift it. The power line will be here, you know, so I will lift it up here and then it will stand on its own. So that should be good in terms of lifting. I might need to employ some sort of leverage at the end, snatch blocks or something. Worst case, I can use the car to pull it, although I don't have quite a straight shot. But yeah, and once I have basically these 2 ends here in place like that, it will still be a bit of work to put the top beam in place here, and once I have that, I can use it to lift up each individual beam that kind of goes here like that. This is not very well proportioned, the drawing, but you get the idea, hopefully. Anyway, I think that's about it for the update. Yes. I will be a little limited in terms of amount of time I have to work on this, because there is not much shade here. Now it has reached this spot, so at this point I could almost start working, although it's a bit cramped over here. I will need to make some sawhorses, I think you might call them, to hold this whilst I work on them. There is a workbench there. Might be a bit too small. I can wheel it out here if needed. So maybe I only need to make one sawhorse. But yeah, there is that there, which is a gazebo, but it has served its purpose somewhat. It doesn't hold up well to wind, and that's how one of the legs ended up, all bent there. And yeah, I don't feel like fixing it again, so I'll have to work within the constraints of shade, which is not the worst thing necessarily. I think today it's a bit too late, because I've been mowing at Grandma's place, so I made it home a bit late. But at this time, sort of after lunch, until I have proper shade, there's like a good 3 or 4 hours where I can kind of work. My proper job, I suppose, the one that does put food on my table and generally money in the budget, which will be needed for completing this. So yeah, to that end, possibly thank you for joining the Patreon. I'm not sure where I will post this video exactly, and if anyone will be able to see it, but yeah, I think that'll be it for now, and I shall see you around. Bye bye.